All right, so last time we looked at nutrition during pregnancy, and we were supposed to look at nutrition during lactation, okay? Before we look at nutrition during lactation, I wanted us to cover the nutrition requirements changes across the entire lifespan. So when someone talks about nutritional status, what do you understand? In simple terms, the nutrition situation. In nutrition, we have what you call supply and the demand. Okay? Nutritional supply. This can also be nutritional intake and what? And the demand. Usually, we strive to make sure that the nutritional supply should always be in balance with the demand. But there are so many factors that do affect the supply of intake and the demand. Our body's demand for nutrients. In the brief introduction, we are saying the nutritional status is determined by the balance between the supply of nutrients and the demand for the nutrients in physiological and metabolic processes. What are metabolic processes? Metabolic processes, these are processes to do with the metabolisms. For example, like the metabolism of what? Of sugar. How is sugar metabolized in the body? Glucose obviously is broken down to provide you with what? With the energy that you need altogether. So there has to be an equal supply of nutrients towards the demand that comes about as a result of metabolism and physiological factors. So both sides of supply-demand balance equation can be affected by a variety of different factors. And for example, intake, it can be reduced in circumstances of poverty, okay? We said a good nutritional status means an equal supply of nutrients to meet an equal demand of nutrients, okay? And the supply and demand can be affected, okay, by various factors, and one of them is poverty. If you're poor, there's going to be a decrease in the intake of nutrients. Have you understood? And the demand is elevated by physiological trauma. Altogether, did you study some bit of economics? If the demand is not there, then why do you supply? You get the point? If there is no demand in the market, why do you supply? Yeah? This is economics, but we're not talking about economics today. We're talking about nutrition. So what happens when someone is pregnant? The demand of nutrients is going to do what? To increase altogether. When someone is sick, the demand for nutrients is going to increase. Okay? So we say the demand is elevated. Elevated means to increase, to elevate. The demand can be elevated by physiological trauma. The main determinants of demand are, however, shaped by other factors such as the level of physical activity, which will increase the energy requirements, by gender, by the body size, or even the age. Okay? So other determinants, if you leave alone physiological trauma, for instance, if someone involves in a lot of physical activities, what is going to happen to the demand for nutrients? It will increase altogether. So we are going to briefly look at the nutritional requirements during the fetal stage. The demand for nutrients to sustain function begins from the moment of conception. Okay? You know what conception is? To conceive. When someone is going to become pregnant, immediately at that point, that woman's nutritional status should be good. And by good, I mean the demand should always equal to the supply. Okay? The supply of nutrients should be equivalent to the demand. Now what happens? The embryonic and fetal stages of life, these ones are the life stages that are most vulnerable in the face of any nutrient imbalance. Okay? So during the fetal stage, this stage here, it is the most vulnerable if you make any mistake, if vulnerable means, what does vulnerable mean? The most vulnerable, you should handle them with care. You get it? Because if there is any imbalance of supply and demand, you're not supplying enough nutrients to meet the demand, then there's going to be a problem, either to the fetus or the mother. Demands for nutrients are high in order to sustain the rapid growth and the process of development from a single-celled zygote to a fully formed human infants. Okay? So, the consequences of undernutrition at this stage can be very catastrophic, leading to miscarriage, failure of growth, premature birth, low weight at birth, or birth defects. Okay? So any mistake, like we said, any incidences of undernutrition. What is undernutrition? Undernutrition means when the supply of nutrients is what? Is low. All together. So in case of any undernutrition, there's going to be a catastrophe. The consequences of undernutrition at this stage can be catastrophic. It can be dangerous, very dangerous. And this can lead to miscarriage. You know miscarriage? Miscarriage means the pregnancy coming out, okay? It can also lead to failure of growth, meaning the baby may not grow properly. It can also lead to premature birth and low birth weight, okay? Premature birth means what? The gestational period for a woman is what? 9 months, okay? From when she conceived to when she gives birth. It should be 9 months. If you give birth before 9 months, you say 7 months or 8 months, then those babies, we call them the prematures. Altogether. But then also, we say a normal baby should be at least 3 kilograms at birth, okay? Or maybe 2.8, 2.9 kilograms, we can forgive those ones. If you give birth to a baby who is below this, let's say 2 kilograms, we say you've given birth to a low birth weight. The baby is of low birth weight altogether. At birth, the newborn infant has incredibly high nutrient demand that in proportion to body weight may be 2 to 3 times greater than those of an adult. Okay? Which means, how many angelos do you eat? Did you have angelo today for breakfast? How many did you eat? 3. That's a lot of angelo. So we say the nutrient demand of a baby. Let's say maybe 3 angelos. 3 angelos that Sudi ate today, they probably gave her like 100 kilocalories of energy. Now, for a baby, you are an adult. For you, you're not a baby. For a baby, this should be 2 or 3 times more altogether. Which means if it's 2 times more, baby needs like 2 times 100, which is 200 kilocalories. Okay? If it's 3 times more, it means the baby will require like 3 times 100, which is 300 kilocalories. So the moment you give birth, at birth, the nutritional demand usually for babies, they are more. Why? These demands are related to the growth and maturation of the organ systems as in fetal life. Altogether, the baby has to grow, but it's not just growing, but even the organs have to mature. So the growth rates in the first year of life are more rapid than at any other time, and the maturation of organs such as the brains and the lungs continue for the first 3 to 8 years of life. So, initially the demand for nutrients are met by a single food source, which is what? Milk. When the baby has just been born, all the nutrients that the baby needs will be met by a single food source, which is what? Breast milk. And this should continue up to when the baby is what? 6 months altogether. And what does that mean to a mother? It means the mother's nutritional status should be good. So, in later infancy, there is the challenge of transitioning